Day off. I was gonna cover the Trump rally. Not that it matters, but I didn't cover it just because I was tired, guys. The last 4 days of trying to handle that DNC coverage, that was a lot. So I took the day off. All right, but I'm back because I got something to talk about. And once you guys kind of get all in here, we'll talk about it. Now, give me a second. Of course, always I gotta check systems. Just something I always do. I try to make sure everything's up and running, looking good, it's friendly. All right. So we're on YouTube, we're on Rumble. We are also on Twitch tonight. All right. All right. Just waiting on to see if Rumble's picked up. Appreciate you guys and all that you do for the Daily Rabbit Hole. Before we get started, feel free to follow the Rabbit Hole on all platforms. I'm pretty much everywhere. Just look for the Daily Rabbit Hole and the dope ass logos. All right, that's me. So, just so you know. Now, it's going to be a quick show. We're not going to be on all night. Not going to do one of those. Very quick show, but something I want to kind of get off my chest about the RNC, the DNC, and how Americans are reacting to it right now. And it's pretty appalling how bad right now Americans are falling for the trick. All right. So I think that what we're seeing right now is all fear tactics and identity politics at best. And for me, I'm kind of tired of hearing about it because now we're getting well, who are you voting for? It matters. When if you tell them that I'm voting for a third party, they'll be like, well, your vote doesn't matter then, which is a weird irony to tell someone that their vote doesn't matter after telling them their vote mattered. All right. So remember that right now when we're talking about, sorry about that. All right, we're good on YouTube. I'm just checking, so that means I should be good on Twitter. We're just waiting for the feed to catch up on Rumble. If not, I'm gonna end up just basically posting the show to Rumble. Just trying to make, there we go. All right, we're good to go, guys. We're good to go. All right, let me get out of here. All right, so look, so this past week, I covered the DNC. We covered all 4 days. A lot of big hitters came out. The Obamas, the Clintons, Bernie Sanders, Pelosi, Schumer, Tim Walz came out. Clinton came out. I think I said the Clintons. Clintons came out, showed up. Bill and Hillary, which, my answer to them is I clearly thought that they were in Gitmo, if that's what everyone was telling me, unless those are skin masks, but it's another conversation. Tonight, I got videos that I want to talk about that rang true today from 60, 70 years ago, some recent, and some of my recent content. All right. Now, yesterday, right, I was getting my hair cut, talking to my barber, and he asked me, who are you voting for? I said, I'm not voting for any of them. I don't believe in the parties. And he's like, well, what if someone had a gun to your head? Who would you vote for? And I told him, you're just going to have to off me. I'm not voting for the red. I'm not voting for the blue. I'm pretty much over this idea of lesser of two evils, right? And then in the same day, I end up talking to my brother-in-law all the way in Arizona, all right? And he comes up with the conversation of, we got to vote for Kamala, so that Trump doesn't give police immunity. And I was like, kind of sat there dumbfounded because I'm like, if you really think about it, your police officers are already acting under a form of immunity most will never get. All right. Now, what he's referring to is Trump pandering to the Blue Lives Matter group and telling them that if you vote for me, I'll make sure police officers don't have immunity, which is complete horseshit and unconstitutional to do. So if you tried it, it would be a problem. Now, that's just one side of the spectrum, right? Now, what I thought was strange is that I talked to two people who never met each other, but only know me through acquaintances, right? Family, and then of course, service, I'm getting my hair cut. What I found strange is that two people who never met are having the same exact conversation on the same exact topic. And the only thing that left me to think was clear programming via TV, and just everything that's been coming out, right? So a lot of people in the black community, and not just the black community, but the liberal community, the reason why I mention the black community is because that's what I live in. All right, I never try to come off one-sided in my shows as far as who's voting for who and who's getting affected the worst. We're all being ill affected in this situation. But when I mention the black community has a knack for voting for their own self-interest. All right. The thing about conservatives is like as long as the views matched, conservatives typically are going to stay in their lane. All right. They don't typically want to vote against their own self-interest, so it makes sense why conservatives vote the way they do. But people who vote for Democrats are clearly voting against their self-interest, in my opinion. Just because if you look at the last 24 years, and this is on both sides, if you look at the last 24 years, 12 years blue, 12 years red. And that was my argument. That's been my argument to a lot of people who ask me, why am I so done with the system? Well, here's my answer. Part of it. For 24 years, we've had blue and red split down the middle, and we have literally not moved anywhere. We're literally pedaling in place. We're on an exercise bike, basically. We're hamsters right now. We're on a hamster wheel, running, sucking down the water every now and then and get back on the wheel, right? That's pretty much what Americans are. Now, a lot of this can be blamed on programming, predictive programming, and just lack of understanding and possibly fluoride in the water. Why am I mentioning fluoride in the water? If you saw my post today on TikTok and Facebook, the government has admitted that fluoride is lowering the IQ of your children. That is official. Fluoride has been in the water, from my understanding, greater than 40 years. So you got to think the last 40 years of Americans who all grew up drinking out the water hose, I being one of those myself, and anyone else in that kind of bracket or that in that section has been drinking fluoridated tap water, excuse me. So now it almost makes sense when we say your pineal gland is calcified and you're not thinking clearly, because they don't want people to think, right? They don't want people to make educated decisions and critical thinking. Because if you were critical thinking, you would understand that there's something wrong with all of this situation right now. There's no way that you can honestly believe what's going on inside of our country is okay. It's not. It's absolutely horrific right now. And every week, the reporting is getting stranger and stranger and stranger. And it's been that way for some years now. Way before the whole 2020 incident happened, if you had been really paying attention, your news was getting stranger. It just hit the fan in 2020 because of everything that was going on. Okay? Now, I got some content I want to share with you. I'm going to share my own content. If you haven't seen it, I just want to get on this subject of the fluoride and understand, all right? Give me a second. We'll go over the presentation. All right, this is the video that I did today talking about the fluoride in the water, and we're going to kind of explain where I'm going with this, okay? All right, just listen. Just give me a second. Hey guys, how you doing? Hope you're having a good Saturn's Day. That's a joke. It's Saturday, but it's really Saturn's Day. Anywho, listen, you remember that time, probably like 10, 20 years ago, when people were saying that there was fluoride in the water and that it was dumbing you down? Well, 20 years later, 58-0 for the whole entire conspiracy community. U.S. government report says fluoride at twice the recommended limit is linked to lower IQ in kids. You want to know why they put this out? Because they got to say something. They don't have a choice right now, because it's clear and in motion that Americans are not thinking clearly right now. And if you would like to think that you are, and you've been drinking tap water, then that's kind of a you problem. Listen, fluoride in the water has been a thing going on 40 plus years. The only reason the Associated Press is coming out and say something is because they have to say something. It's too known at this point that there is fluoride in the water, and it's calcified the pineal gland to a rock in most people. Now you're probably wondering, how do I decalcify my pineal gland?
You could probably pick up a book. You could probably stop watching TV. You could probably stop buying into all the BS that they're telling you on TV. You could also stop eating the food that has all types of chemicals in it too. Now, a way to help this is maybe sun gazing, grounding, eating healthier, going to run, and for God's sakes, pick up a book. It would help. You have a great day.
All right, all right, all wide, all wide. So look, that was what I did today. And the only reason I did that was one, I needed to put some good content out. And two, I like to put stuff out that I know is true to be facts and everything and all that. And this has been one of the biggest conversations about the human race, is that our pineal glands are calcified over. And people be like, that's offensive. You don't know what I know and this and that. And I'm like, well, if you're drinking tap water, I'm pretty sure you don't know anything right now. And it's not to say that you're stupid because you're drinking tap water. It's to say that the government at some point has admitted these things and have said it numerous times, and it's been around. And if you pay attention to what people are saying and how they conduct themselves, you can pretty much tell that they're not thinking things through fully. Like, things aren't just firing off right now like they should. And why do I say that? Because the way people are eating this up with the Kamala Harris and Donald Trump election coming up, it definitely comes off as cult-like. Because people are literally voting against their self-interest right now. And that is the craziest thing in the world to do. I just don't fully understand it, because if you based it off facts, you could show that they've been harming the Americans for some time. And I told my brother-in-law, I was like, sir, you are at war and you don't even realize it. He's like, well, what do you mean? I was like, think about this. All right, hear me out, guys. I told him, I was like, look, there's fluoride in your water. You're being poisoned by all the food. There's chemtrails. There's clearly an issue in mental health that they're not addressing. And that they've also sold drugs to the impoverished communities in America. And then it is proven and factual that Walmart and CVS also caused the opiate crisis. Numbers. So the fact that your government is capable of these things over the course of time should tell you that right now, what would make them any different than 40, 50, 60 years ago? Absolutely nothing, because in their minds, sure, they've had some pushback. Klaus Schwab talked about this early in the year at the World Economic Forum, where he stated that there was resistance inside of America due to the vaccine mandates, due to all the misinformation allegedly coming out, and Americans being so patriotic that they would basically go against their self-interest if it meant thumbing their nose at the government. And me personally, that's what they want you to think, that you're going against your self-interest when you say F the government. And that's not the case. We don't have an issue with government as Americans. We have an issue with the leadership that's running the damn government. No one actually has problems with some of the things that we need as far as law and order or helping the needy when it's needed. We don't have problems with that. What we have problems with are the people who pander so hard to us to make us think that they're one of us so we can elect them. And then as soon as we elect them, they disappear. That's one of the most aggravating features of our political party that I've noticed. Excuse me. All right. And if you go back to in the civil rights movement, Malcolm X was a staunch component of liberals, and he called them foxes and said that even if they smiled and showed their teeth, people wouldn't be able to tell the difference between them, like the regular people and the good people. And he was absolutely right, and this remains true 50 years later, 60 years later. Right now, Americans literally sat here and played identity politics on both sides of the spectrum. On the right side of the spectrum, if you have, like I've said before, if you have a felony, baby mamas, you have an issue with the government, or you believe in conspiracy theories and all this stuff, you are leaning to the right now. If you don't believe in conspiracy theories and you believe that your political party is working for you, democracy works, and being a liberal is better than being a conservative, You're on the left, and you're an extreme left, and a left that we're all scratching our head on because none of us are understanding why the hell is anyone voting for the left. Like, again, I'm not for either, but when I say the left is just beyond tolerable right now, like, it's hard to understand why people keep assuming. But see, the thing that I keep noticing is that people say, well, it's the lesser of two evils. And guess what? That's still evil. Just because one demon is a little bit more forgiving than the next demon does not make them your demon. It's just a demon. My brother-in-law's best idea was to tell me, well, hey, you have to basically find the person who has your interest or you think has your best interest, but what if no one has my best interest? What if neither one actually has my best interest? How many times do people get in office and then flake on us? Right? How many times do we hear the promises, the kissing the babies, mwah, fingers, America, don 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 don. We get sold that shit every 4 to 8 damn years, and it's not working. It's just not working. It has not worked. Even in modern times from 2000 to 2024, it has not worked. We had 12 with blue, 12 with red. We are still in a shabby place right now. And sure, what's everyone's biggest answer? Well, nobody's perfect, and they've passed things that have helped. Okay, name one. I always find it fascinating when I say name one. But people like, you can't name anything that they signed into law that you deem horrible. I'm like, yeah, dude, FISA 704. Federal, what is it? Federal Investigation Surveillance Act. FISA 704, 702. And then we have HR, I want to say 7091. Like, there's a couple bills and policies that are extremely questionable, but people act like they're not happening. And it's weird. Because even with Trump, when we look at him, people are like, he's for America. He was part of Operation Warp Speed that forced the jab on everybody. So we forget that too. He even got on TV and act like he took it with something in it. What are we doing right now? I got more content, all right? Like I said, it's not going to be a long show. I want to state some points and show some things, right? Like, we've always known that the parties were not working in our favor. There's no way around it. We can start at Bush Jr. all the way to Kamala right now as she runs for president. Because Trump is already in that 24 years that I'm talking about. And so was Kamala. She's in there too now. So as vice president, she's trying to tell us that she's going to pass stuff and she has a policy that she didn't do anything while she was there as vice president. One of her biggest things was that I noticed she said, well, I'll get rid of wage taxes. Why didn't you do that in 4 years that you were in there? Like, that's weird to me, guys. Is that not weird to you? Like, we have someone promising us policies that they can't even show for when they're in there. Right? Biden goes on TV and says, well, the policies are going to be the same policies I pushed as she pushed. They're basically pushing the same agenda. And Kamala has no policies other than reproductive rights, and women already have the right to reproduce. Now, as far as abortions, do I believe abortion should be legal under certain circumstances? I don't think you should be knocking babies off in late trimesters. Absolutely not. Just put it up for adoption or give it to a family member. But if there's some type of incest, rape, or anything of that nature involved, I believe the woman has the right to do what she has to do. That is her choice. But just aborting babies because you out here having a hot girl summer? Absolutely the fuck not. Like, I think, what, isn't that harmful to the body if you do these things? That's just my opinion only. But what I'm saying is that these people are pandering, and they've pandered, and the people that I'm watching tell me right now we don't have a choice are the people that are going to vote us into hell again. Y'all keep voting us into a new level of hell every 4 to 8 years, yo. And I'm sitting here and I'm trying to figure it out. Like, what are you missing? Is it the fluoride calcifying? Are you just scared that the big scary orange man's going to get in office? He's already been in office. Nothing happened to you. This is what blows my mind. People talk about the things that they're going to do. They're only going to do them if you let them. We have to let them do the stuff. And if you're worried, then that means you're going to let them do it. I just don't understand it, all right? Now, I got some content from Malcolm X that, quick snippets, and I want to show what he was saying 60 years ago, all right? Listen to this.
Running for president tells Negroes what he's going to do for them when he gets in office, and after he gets in office he has time to do something for everybody else except the people that put him in office. He tricked the people who put him in office. He has the time to take a stand against U.S. Steel, against Castro, against Khrushchev, against Laos and South Vietnam and all these other places all over the world. But when it comes to time to correcting the injustices that are being inflicted against Negroes in this country, Kennedy sits up there like Nero. He's fiddling while Birmingham is burning.
Malcolm X didn't pull any punches. He talked about every president. He didn't have a problem. But see, what made this different back then is Kennedy was open to sitting down with Malcolm X and understanding. This is what made Kennedy great. Even though Kennedy had his problems, Kennedy still managed to sit down with this man and have a conversation, just like the KKK managed to sit down with Malcolm X and have a conversation. So even then, way back then, everyone understood that there was some type of problem then, and it was very known. Now, if you're just making it to the show, understand that this is not a race bait or anything of this nature, because what he's talking about now is very prevalent in everyone's life, of all walks of life in America. Black, blue, brown, green, purple, orange, it don't matter. Right now, the injustices across the middle class and the lower classes is insane. The middle class is being wiped out. Poor people there are more poor people than there are middle class right now. Working poor. Now you can call them middle class, but they're working poor or working broke, because poor is a state of mind. Being broke is a financial issue. When I say poor, they're real close to being in that category. But we keep voting for the liberals. I'm not saying the right's doing any better, but like I told my brother-in-law, if we don't get rid of this leadership in this system, we're not going to make it, because the system is working as needed. It's working like it should. The system is working against us perfectly, and it shouldn't be working against us perfectly, but it is. So what do? I've told you before what we need to do. We need to sit down. We need to make sure that we hit those pockets. And when they decide to get aggressive, we need to be the ones to stand there and tell them, you feeling froggy, go ahead and lead. Not saying I'm calling for violence, not saying I'm calling for riots. I'm not. But bullies don't take peaceful protests very well. Sometimes you got to pop his ass one good time in the mouth. Take it how you want to. But the thing that we need to do, I bet you if we didn't show up to vote, then how would they elect somebody? If we sat down and none of you went to work, how would the corporations move? How would the corporations grow if no one's moving the product and making the machine work? If we stop doing the things they need us to do, the machine dies. There's no DNC, there's no RNC. They would have to hold a special election via the governors and the senators. The governors would bring the complaint to the senators, and then the senators would take that up to the executive branch of the government and explain to them that, listen, if you don't fix these problems right now, you are going to have a severe issue in every state. And this ain't 200 years ago. This ain't 150 years ago. This is 2024, where every bit of information is available. It is nothing to go find a house and go knock on the door. And I'm not calling for any violence or anyone to be attacked. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, if everyone showed up to their courthouses and their elected governors' houses and was like, hey, we need to have a conversation. Why? Why do you need to have a conversation? Because we're out here being poisoned. I lit a match by my faucet and that bitch caught on fire. we need to have a conversation. Things change really quick. But see, what has happened since then is that our education systems have been dumbed down. The fluoride in the water, the entertainment is dumbing everyone down, and the bread and circus, people are more ready for football season than to really dig in and make these motherfuckers stand on something. I'm on my soapbox today, guys. Like I said, I got something to say, and it just caught my attention when I was just listening to people talk, and they were giving me the same rhetoric of programming, saying that this is the lesser of two evils and we don't have a choice. There is always a choice. That has been the biggest trick in the book with us, is that we think we don't have a choice. We have to vote for one or the other. That's not the case. If I was going to vote, I'd have voted for Kennedy, but he pulled out. You know why he pulled out? Because he knows he don't have anywhere to go. Sure, we can write him in on the ballot, but that ain't going to do nothing. So what does he do? He endorses Trump. Why? Because he controls a very essential piece of the political population that don't trust nobody. With him giving us conspiracies and talking about his uncle and his dad being murdered by the government, he has a small but strong following with the conspiracy community and some libertarians. Now, this does not mean that Kennedy has not played the game. There are pictures of him standing next to Jews. There are pictures with him standing next to lobbyists and people for political interest and to show like some type of solidarity. But do not be deceived. His market is not Democrats. His market is not Republicans. His market is people like me and you, that the ones who are on the ropes sitting here watching this shit, because we understand all the things Kennedy is saying. So we know when he says, like, hey, like big corporation and big pharma, they're whoop-de-woo, and how they, the vaccine played out and Operation Warp Speed. He understands where our minds are at. But the thing is that because Kennedy is not running, that left us in limbo, so they don't want to waste votes. So what do? They're going to send everyone to the right because those votes matter on that side. All right? So that's all it boils down to. That's the only reason why he endorsed Trump. That's the only reason this is going down, because the left wasn't on his side anyway. The left wouldn't even give him a Secret Service detail. All right? Now, when we talk about how the left has been pandering is something that's been known for some time. Now, I got two clips that I'm going to play. One is Hillary at the Breakfast Club, and the other is going to be Kamala at the Breakfast Club. All right? Listen to this.
No more questions? They said no, she has to go.
What's something that you always carry with you?
Hot sauce.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you getting information right now? Hot sauce. Hot sauce in my bag, Swag?
Hot sauce.
Really?
Yes.
Now listen, I
yes.
just want you to know, people are going to see this and say, okay, she's pandering to black people.
Okay. Is it working?
Yeah.
So there you go. Like Envy said, they're going to be saying you're pandering to black people. And is it working? Sure it is. Because we appreciate things like that, right? We want someone that's relatable to us. We want to feel like this person knows us really well, like this person is down to earth. These people are paying someone $100,000 a year to make them seem likable to the regular working class poor people. Think about that. Like, we pay people a certain amount of money to make us look presentable to them. They're paying someone to make them look presentable to us. They have to make themselves come down to our level because they're so disconnected from being a normal person. They haven't been a normal person in a long time. So you get this kind of pandering where they get on the Breakfast Club, and the Breakfast Club stay eating this shit up. You got hot sauce in your purse? And they sit here and they play this game. Now, I got another video for you, all right? This is, of course, Kamala.
Have you ever smoked?
I have.
Okay. Like
And I inhale. I did inhale. It was a long time ago.
Harris explains her pro-pot stance and admits that she indulged in the substance while in college. Then this exchange happened.
What does Kamala Harris listen to?
What were you listening to when you was high? What was on? What song?
Oh my goodness. Oh yeah, definitely Snoop. Tupac, for sure.
So Kamala Harris said she's smoked before. In fact, she said she's tried it when she was in college. And she said when she was high, she was listening to Tupac and Snoop. Ladies and gentlemen, Kamala Harris graduated college in 1986. Snoop and Tupac came out in the 90s. Now we see why she said this.
Best rapper alive.
Tupac.
He's not alive. You said he lives on.
But not alive. I know. I keep doing
Wow. This woman is just plain out lying and saying what she thinks black people want to hear. That's sad. People, that's sad. Pandering to black people just so you put her in office just to do nothing for you. Pray you guys wake up.
All right. So look, and there's nothing wrong with trying marijuana. There's nothing wrong with liking Tupac. There's nothing wrong with smoking weed and listening to Tupac. But listen to me, this woman has incarcerated the same people for selling the same thing and smoking it or having a little bit on them as she was district attorney in the state of California. Or state attorney general, whatever. She prosecuted a lot of people over the same thing she tried in high school while she was listening to Tupac. Pandering is real. And pandering, when people say, well, she's pandering to black people, what about the white people? Here's how the Democrats and the liberals get white people. White people sympathize with black people's issues so much that they'll take on our issues just to seem like they're not being racist. And it's the weirdest dynamic in the world. People feeling like you need to empathize or sympathize with a community to make them feel wanted. We don't need your empathy or your sympathy. We just need you to help us stop the shit. Instead of sitting here and being like, I voted for Obama, or I get it, I used to do that. Stop trying to relate to us and just help us get rid of this shit ass leadership, because this is all the problem. But instead, we get a lot of situations that we're going to be pandered to because that's how the Democrats have molded themselves, as panderers. And this doesn't excuse the Republicans from pandering. I told you they're pandering. I told you they were pandering when he said he's a felon, he's been shot at, and he got 3 baby mamas. He uses conspiracies. So everyone on the right, most of them believe the same shit he's saying. To some extent, they do think the government is after them. Just like the same people that are with Kennedy, that the same Kennedy who's pushing those same ideas, which he's not wrong, but it puts us in a category of identification with him as conspiracy theorists. So naturally, no logical person or with critical thinking who deems themselves as someone who does not trust the establishment will go to the left. We will go to the right before we go to the left any day of the week. So this is how this is being set up right now, is that the left has their 80 to 100 million. If you include the 15 million migrants they let in, you can add that 80 something million that Biden got in his election, adding 10 to 15 million, got about 95 to 100 million new voters, or voters in general, excuse me. Now, there's going to be some people that turn and they go right, and there's going to be some people that turn and go left, so those numbers are going to fluctuate. But on both sides, we're being had. Without a doubt, we're being had. We're being had in the worst way. Don't know what else way to put it, but we are being had. The idea that Trump is racist, is he racist? He's done some racist shit in his life and said some racist things. I have too. I'm not a racist. I just say what comes to mind sometimes. no excuse. Kamala's not black. She's not. She's Indian. She's born of an Irish Jamaican. Am I wrong? That doesn't, she may try to identify, but that doesn't make her American. Doesn't make her black. I thought all of us were on the same page at one point. Like, we want someone who has the interests of the American people. The American people should not be playing the race game. We should be too far along in life to be playing the race game right now. But we're not. And a lot of people are playing it. And that does not mean that the racism issue is fake. It's just created. It's not fake. It's created. It's real because we make it real. Let's not forget the real Rainbow Coalition of the 60s and 70s during the Civil Rights era. Let's not forget the real Black Panther Party. You know, because now when you Google both of those, they're gone. It's funny how that happens. When you Google the Black Panthers, you're going to get Chadwick Boseman and Marvel. And when you Google the Rainbow Coalition, you already know what you're going to get. You're definitely not getting the Young Lords, the Young Confederates, and all the other groups that were around during the Civil Rights Movement clicking up against the establishment. You're not getting that Rainbow Coalition. You're getting the, hey, Rainbow Coalition. That's just what it is. That's kind of how you can erase history via culture. We'll almost erase it ourselves. So now when we need these kind of people to come out and say something, it's not resonating because most of the conspiracy people are on the right. And if we had to make a choice, a lot of conspiracy people are going to pick Trump. I'm not picking Trump. I would pick anybody else but them two and make them do something else. Like, it would be messed up if Americans voted a Joe Schmo in there and was like, hey, that's the president now. They would hold a new special election to fix it. That's how you know that you're selected and not elected. Because if we put some Joe Schmo in there, they're going to have a special election to replace him quickly. This is just how a lot of this is playing out. And a lot of people in America are playing this game with the liberals, like as if Kamala's the better choice over Trump. I don't like picking the lesser of two evils, and I don't like my oppression repackaged to me. Listen to me when I say this. I don't want my oppression repackaged to me in a new way with a new bow, because that's what's happened. My old-time slavery turned into the 13th Amendment and the incarceration system. Now, slavery is working almost 70 hours a week for the next 40 or 50 years of your life just to retire for 5 years, and probably financially won't even make it the full 5 to 10 years if you're healthy enough to make it that far. But oh behold, the one thing that Americans are asking for to be helped and just have some real resources like free medical care. Not even free. You ain't even got to be completely free. Maybe fix the homeless rate, fix the homeless crisis, or fix the child hunger. They've managed to agree on warrantless surveillance, TikTok, allowing China to buy land and China being a threat. They agree on that. They agree on funding Ukraine. They agree on funding Israel. They agree on going to war with Iran. These motherfuckers do not agree on clean water for Flint, Michigan. They don't agree on ending child hunger, ending veteran homelessness, fixing veteran suicide, really fixing mental health and not throwing medication at it so doctors can get their pockets laced. Ever since the left has gone this way, everyone else has been sick. Like I've said before, if the left is doing such a great job, why is everyone mentally sicker? And this goes for the right. If the right has so many morals and ethics, why are they funding terrorism? Why are they always trying to keep the war going? These are simple ass questions that no one wants to ask because they're scared of their damn feelings, and they're sitting here trying to figure out, well, who's the bad one? Both of them. It's both of them. Absolutely. I'm going to play you another clip from Malcolm X, and he's going to explain what liberals really were to them back then.
many whites who are trying to solve the problem, but you never see them going under the label of liberals. That white person that you see calling himself a liberal is the most dangerous thing in the entire Western Hemisphere. He's the most deceitful. He's like a fox, and a fox is always more dangerous in the forest than the wolf. You can see the wolf coming. You know what he's up to, but the fox will fool you. He comes at you with his mouth shaped in such a way that even though you see his teeth, you think he's smiling. You take him for
There are white people out there that mean us well, but the most dangerous thing in America is a white man that calls himself a liberal. This was back in his time. In 2024, the most dangerous thing to America is anybody calling themselves liberals. Anybody who calls himself a liberal has to be the most dangerous person in the world right now, because they are not thinking in the same stratosphere as anyone else right now. They are allowing perversion of the children. They are allowing gun confiscation, freedom of speech to be taken. They are allowing so many things right now that you can see why everyone is sick right now mentally. It makes sense. It does. And if you say anything, you're xenophobia, you're a bigot, you're a homophobe, you're anything of this nature. But the one thing that I find strange is that they're letting 10 to 15 million people in America and giving them more benefits than we should have got. We should have got all of that. If they gave us those benefits, I've said this numerous times, if they had given us the same exact benefits that they are giving to those migrants, you couldn't say shit without America coming to kick your ass. If you said, hey, I don't like how Americans are living, we'd have been like, what? This is the cost of freedom. Guess what? You got a problem with how we're living? We're coming to see you, because clearly our government's taking care of us. And they appreciate us, and they gave us the opportunity to buy land, the opportunity for your wife or your husband to take time off and help raise the kids or start a business, buy a house, get married. They gave you money. These ideas sound familiar? Sure. They came from Gaddafi. The same thing Gaddafi is doing he did for his people when he was alive, America's doing it for the migrants right now. In so many ways. But yet we're sitting here in America talking about Kamala and Trump. We're trying to figure out, why the hell are we not getting treated the same exact way as you're treating sovereign people coming into America? Because all those migrants are sovereign. They are not citizens. They are sovereign entities entering America. How are they sovereign? They don't have a social security number. And mentioning social security numbers, you wonder how all these migrants are about to vote? Maybe focus your attention on the fact that SSA got hacked and all their information was taken, as far as our information on the social security tip. Where do you think them damn social security numbers are going? Let's be realistic, guys. Where do you think these social security numbers are going 2-3 months before the election starts? Just magically the SSA get hacked, all of our information stolen right before election time. All the social security numbers. Come on, man. Y'all want me to play? I'm gonna play the video again. Let's one more time. One more time.
There are many whites who are trying to solve the problem, but you never see them going under the label of liberals. That white person that you see calling himself a liberal is the most dangerous thing in the entire Western Hemisphere. He's the most deceitful. He's like a fox, and a fox is always more dangerous in the forest than the wolf. You can see the wolf coming. You know what he's up to, but the fox will fool you. He comes at you with his mouth shaped in such a way that even though you see his teeth, you think he's smiling. You take him for
Listen to me. Y'all are playing a real dangerous game right now. And when I say y'all, I'll talk about everybody playing this damn red and blue game. You're probably playing the most dangerous game in America right now, bar none. Bar none. If you don't get no more, you don't get no dangerous than this other than Russian roulette. Because the coup d'etat is already happening in America, and it's been happening some time now. Now, you want to think that, oh, they probably pulled a coup. They pulled it when they shot Kennedy. That was the coup d'etat. That was the coup d'etat. That happened years ago. Where we're at now is complete instability. At this point, we're right at where Rome figured out that they should rebrand to the Vatican. And that's about where we're at. We're rebranding to BRICS. Right? Are you guys seeing where I'm going with this? No? Yeah? Nah. This is what I'm saying at the end of the day, Americans. Sure, the conspiracies are funny. Sure, the conspiracies can come off a little extreme. And sure, the people telling them can seem a little unhinged. But nothing says more unhinged than voting against your own self-interest. Nothing says unhinged when there is some proof that there is something going on with our leadership. I won't get into the conspiracies. It's too many to name. Eatagate, Operation Blackjack, Mockingbird, MK Ultra, anything you can think of. A lot of this stuff is factual. The fact that everyone is ignoring that, and like I said today in my post on Facebook, when historical and political facts become theories, we are encompassing a very dangerous time in America. What I'm saying is when you give facts to a person and they say, you're just coming with theories, we live in dangerous times when a person refuses to look at the obvious. Self-delusion, you are literally telling yourself everything is okay, because we have to vote on the lesser of two evils, because if we don't, the orange bad man or cackling Kamala is going to come in and one of them's going to save us. No one's coming to save you at all. Nobody. There's absolutely no one coming. It is on us. It is on us to form communities. It is on us to do these things, to take care of each other. But we're so sick and twisted mentally that we're not going to have that happen. We're too busy worrying about left and right. The left saw the whole 4 days of the DNC and was like, look at all this bread and circus. Yeah, lights, little kids beating on drums, big names. The right's over here like, yeah, fighting the deep state. At least they acknowledge the deep state on the right, because the left don't even acknowledge the deep state. They don't even think that should exist. They just think it's one-sided. Like I said, I had a conversation with a person who did not know that there is a left and right spectrum on propaganda media. He only says there's a right because it's Trump. But because he's a left, he can't see the propaganda on his side of the spectrum. I would like to again reiterate to you that is programming a calcified pineal gland and one of the most dangerous people in the world as a liberal. This man is walking deaf, dumb, and blind, and he actually thinks he is in the right. Just like the right thinks they're in the right. They're all wrong. We're being played. Zion Don, touch the wall. He's going after Iran when he gets in office because there's an attempt on his life and he has to make a point. Telling you guys, man, it's bigger than what we think. It's so much bigger than what we think. We just don't understand it. But what I understand is that on the left wing and the right wing, it's the same bird, and there's something in between the two of them. Now, I'm gonna play a video. By no means do I say that this video is factual. You just can look it up yourself and see if it's true. I've looked it up myself, and a lot of the stuff that I'm seeing happens to be true. And it just so happens to be true about Zion Don and Kamala's husband. If you know, you know. If you don't, maybe you should start paying attention and listening to what we're saying, because I'm telling you right now, there's someone in the middle controlling things, and I'm not going to say who they are because I'm on multiple platforms and they like to get sensitive. But at the Deep State Talk Show, we got to cover the deep state. And when I tell you the deep state is working overtime, they're working overtime. Now, I'm going to show you something, and I want you to take this with a grain of salt. This is what I'm going to close this show with, to show you that we may be being played right now by a faction that's funding both sides of the conflict and has always funded both sides of the conflict. All right? Okay. Now, I'm going to play this video. All right? Give me a second.
As they're bragging about all the victories they had in American elections, here's a list of all the very important positions of power that are non-elected, starting with Merrick Garland of the FBI, David Cohen, who runs the CIA, Avril Haines, who is the Director of National Intelligence, and that's the key positions of power in our intelligence spy network. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken, who actually has a dual citizenship with Israel, Janet Yellen, who is Secretary of Treasury and is in charge of our whole entire economy. She used to be in charge of the Federal Reserve, too. She used to be in charge of all our banks. Department of Homeland Security, Alejandro Mayorkas. So ironically, they're in charge of our borders. White House Chief of Staff, Ron Klein. Not a single piece of paperwork hits the president's desk without that man being able to have access to it. So it's not that they just have victories in all of our elections, but they also hold the most key important positions of power in our entire government.
It just so happened to be the husband of the vice president right now. It just so happened to sat down with all three of them about 2 weeks ago to have a conversation about possibly helping Israel in the conflict with Palestine and Iran right now, Hamas and Hezbollah. What I'm saying is there is something in between both of them funding the whole entire problem. And again, I'm not saying anything, but if you go back 100 and something years, you start noticing breadcrumbs. You start noticing that there's a group of people sitting in the middle of us causing this whole problem and just so happen to be the driving force in our political parties. It could be the same group of people that you can't talk about. If you would like to know who's in charge, as Nietzsche has said, find out who you can't talk about. Who can't you talk about? You can talk about black people. You can talk about Asians. You can talk about white people. You can talk about Muslims, the French, the Spanish, Igbo, the Zulu. You can talk about everybody in the world, but there is one group in America right now that you can't talk about. Actually, two, and those groups come hand in hand. Which groups did I not name? I'm gonna let y'all figure that out so I don't get my page block or all that weird stuff. But I'm gonna tell you now, one of them likes reading the kids at book fairs, and the other one, well, the video explained it. As I smile in the camera and realize one day we should all strive to be a problem for the New World Order. We should all strive. Okay? So as we close out this show, I want to make it very clear to you that whatever's coming, and it is coming, the monkeypox, the parvovirus, oh my God, Ebola, Black Plague, C-19, new variants, fear, 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 fear. You get fear, you get fear, you all get fear. Yeah, you guys catch my drift. So when we talk about the deep state, understand how the deep state operates and understand that a lot of the tricks and things that they do are mental or emotional or spiritual. Because physically, they know they can't rock with the American people. Just like the right knows better than the left. The right knows if you rally the American people, there is nothing that we won't do for you, because our patriotism and our nationalism, that shit lives in us. It has nothing to do so much with the land as it does with the human species and how they feel when they know that their home is being attacked. If you go to France right now, they're prideful. If you go to Russia, they're prideful. You go to the Middle East, they're prideful. Humans are a prideful group of people. And right now that is being weaponized against us on a global level. There are things that are transpiring. And if you think that this whole incident that happened with the yacht is not connected to CrowdStrike, voting, and AI and hacking of those polls, you got another thing coming. You guys need to look into Dark Trace, and that's just me. You guys need to start looking into stuff, because a lot of stuff is starting to float out there, and the news is basically showing you that they can't suppress everything anymore. There are some uncomfortable truths getting ready to come out very soon about your Khazarian handlers, your shabby government, and the people who are really puppeteering it all. They cannot hide it. If you don't believe me, ask yourself why Harry is being welcomed back into the family. Someone's getting ready to die. I ain't gonna say who it is, but I'm telling you, he getting ready to pass away real soon, like I said last year when they went through all that motion. I'm telling you now, the fact that Harry is being allowed back in the family and Meghan Markle is telling him to put the differences aside and go back to the family, something is getting ready to transpire. The fact that they are shutting down concerts, artists are taking their tour dates down, has nothing to do with ticket sales. A little bit of it, but not the whole thing. Something is getting ready to happen. In 2020, as C-19 was going on, they started shutting down quietly. Hollywood shut down all of a sudden. Entertainment started shutting down all of a sudden. When I say entertainment, all of it. Sports entertainment, all of it started shutting down. Tour dates started being canceled. Strange protocols were being used in certain cities to get their stuff together. It's happening again right before election. I am one of the staunchest people who believe that we're going to get through this election. But as I still keep thinking about it, something is afoot. And I'm starting to sense what it may be, is that I think they understand that the sham might be up. They may honestly realize that they can't keep playing this game with us, and we're going to eventually be like, hey, we need to have a conversation. Because one of my favorite sayings is, one day the poor are going to stop fighting each other and eat each other, and they're going to stop and look at themselves and turn around and notice all the rich elites laughing at them. All the rich elites still living their lives like nothing is wrong, like in 2020. The whole time we sat in the house, or you were out there protesting because you believed in a cause, or you were sitting here social distancing yourself, wearing masks, getting jabbed, these people were out here having parties, banquets, flying on private planes to godforsaken islands. One day the poor is going to stop fighting each other and turn around and they're going to eat the shit out of the rich. And I hope I am alive to see it. Because I'm telling you now, y'all are playing a very dangerous game with this political party shit right now. Because they know that they got y'all eating it, because Trump then took a shot to the head. He's just like any regular American. He's in court. He paid child support, or he did pay child support, and he's a felon. He believes in the deep state. He believes he's fighting the deep state. Operation Trust, Bolshevik conflict. Look it up. If you know, you know. I'm not going to get into that again. What I'm saying to you is we are being played. Like Malcolm X said, the liberal is cunning. So is the Republican now. Back then, Republicans were poor and middle class white and black people. The Democrats were the rich elite, aristocrat, oligarchy, KKK. That was the Democrats. Abraham Lincoln was a Northern Republican. He wasn't a Southern. See how this works? He was a Republican, but he was from the North, so he shared their values. May have not shared all of them, but he shared a majority till he realized he had fucked up, like a lot of people are realizing. So what I'm saying is stop playing this egotistical game of who's better. Neither one of them are better, and you're going to pick the lesser of two evils, and he's still evil, or she is still evil. That doesn't help you to sub out a demon for a devil and vice versa. Just because the demon smiled at you and the devil didn't does not make them any more friendlier than each. I just need Americans to understand right now that whatever you are watching, it is not what you think. They're playing you right now, and it's working. And I know it's working because when I go out, I hear it in everyone's mouth. Chucks and pearls, which she didn't mention at all. They damn sure had a show on for y'all, but it's funny how Kamala became Kamala and she wasn't at the barbecue no more. She has no policies ready. Nothing. Because there are no policies ready. The only thing that she needs to do is stand in place, talk, and occasionally throw a Band-Aid on a bleeding wound. And the same thing go for Trump. The same thing go for the Republicans. Y'all are gonna play a very, very dangerous game. And when it gets in your face and your eyes, I will be there to tell you I told you so, but I will be there to tell you what's going on and let you know how to get out of this. That's all I'm saying. I just want us to stop playing the game so badly because it's not working. It's failing us. It's been failing us. It's been failing us for a while. This is the same exact government that sold drugs in the 90s and the 80s to people. Gary Webb, never forget, people. They made a whole show called Snowfall. They've already told you they did it. And all we did was sit here and like, damn, man, Snowfall was a good show. All while they're still running ops on us inside of our country because certain alphabet boys do not have jurisdiction here, so they have to act in secrecy. I don't make this stuff up. It's a reason why all your content creators seem to be ex-CIA people. It's a reason all your content creators are showing up at these conventions, right and left. I ain't show up at the convention. Ain't nobody invite me. You know why? Because I'm a normal person and they don't like people who sit. I'm not even on the fence. I'm sitting on the outside of them fighting each other with popcorn like, can y'all get this over so we can start over and we can get our lives together? Because I'm not playing this game. I'm not perfect. I'm still in this matrix with y'all. I smoke cigarettes. I know better, but I got stress issues. Sue me. Who doesn't? Right? Like I told you, one side has all the ethics and morals and all they do is warmonger and fund terrorism. And the other side wants to help you, but for some reason you keep getting sicker mentally and now you're cutting off your private parts for them because they're telling you it's okay. It's easier to stuff medication down your throat than it is to fix the problem. It's easier to just shut you up with distraction and bread and circus than it is to fix the problem. This is the Deep State Talk Show, guys. We talk about this, and we're going to have to keep talking about it because there's no way anyone's buying this story anymore. And the fact that some of you are, if not a solid 180 million people in America are buying into this, it already says we've lost. Y'all gonna vote the lesser of two evils in, and it's still evil. And you're gonna be sitting here like, what? What am I? That's not what they said. Yeah, it's never what they said. It's never, in 24 years, 12 blue, 12 red, none of them have held true to their promises. Like the time Obama said, I'm gonna give clarity into the government. We're gonna make the government open. Lies. Motherfucker lied to y'all quickly. Motherfucker won the Nobel Peace Prize and declared war in the same conversation. That shit has never happened. Never. No one has ever won the Nobel Peace Prize and declared war in the same conversation. Every presidency that we get out of 2 years after, we start finding out information. And just like, again, when Trump was in office, we couldn't find 86,000 kids that were lost at the border. Well, guess what happened at the end of this presidency? Now it's 300,000 kids are missing from the border. If the government is watching the border, right, and the government just so happens to be funding our enemies or people who aren't fond of our government or our way of living, If the government has sold drugs to you, poisoned your water, poisoned your food, poisoned your air, poisoned your programming, tainted your children, and lied to you in education, what in the whole hell would make you think that they wouldn't be at the root of one of the grandest conspiracies of trafficking known to man? I'm going to leave you guys on that question, all right? I hit my hour. I just wanted to come in and talk to you guys. I had this on my heart. I had it on my mind, and I had to get it out the way, and I had to throw a little bit of content in there. But I'm going to leave you with that question, and I want you to think about it. I'm going to ask it again, maybe come out differently. They're poisoning you via your air, your food, your water. Your education is slop. Your medical care is slop. Your medicine is slop, and it's causing more issues than it's supposed to be fixing. The incarceration system is failing. No one's being rehabilitated. Your children are confused, and they're thinking that they need to cut off stuff. And you want to think right now that there's no connection to millions of people missing in our own institutions. Yet you still vote for these people. Yet you still call them your leadership. I'm going to leave that on your mind. I'm going to leave it on your heart. All right? You guys have a great night. I'm your host. This is the Deep State Talk Show and the Daily Rabbit Hole. Hit me up and you guys have a great night.